Hey, Grace.
Hey, Eric.
It's time.
Woo woo.
Hey, Grace.
Yeah.
What's the best kind of pet for a track runner?
I don't know.
A lap dog.
Oh my goodness.
Let's do this.
I love
Let's
it.
do this.
Let's do it.
I'm Eric, Idiot Runner Kosek.
And I'm Grace Hot Pants Langheim. Eric is all business in the front of the pack, and I am all about the party in the back.
That's right. Business up front and party in the back. Together, we are the Running Mullet.
And we are going to talk about every aspect of running, the podium to the DNF and everything in between.
If you are a runner, this show is for you. Now sit back, get out your foam roller, and enjoy the party. I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
A couple of them, yeah.
Hey, Grace, for those people that are tuning in, if we have anybody tuning in already, if anybody can tell me who came up with that quote, I will give them Idiot Runner koozie.
What?
Yep.
So easy.
I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. Come on, Chad Brown.
They sure do.
How are you, Grace?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm terrific. Monday is my new Friday. Well, I mean, not really, but I still look forward to Mondays now.
Same. Mondays are officially a great day. I'm pumped. We're going to talk about Boston, which is coming up for you. We're going to continue talking about race planning and time management. How do you fit it all in? And Sue got it.
You got it. She got it. Good work.
Tsunami. Sue's awesome. She picks up cars.
Yes, we're gonna talk about Boston. How was your weekend?
It was good. I did some adventuring on the Horseshoe Trail, and then I slept in on Sunday and did yard work. How about you?
Housework on Saturday, like I said. I got Becky a sink to go with her toilet downstairs, and it works.
Hey, so she can wash her hands. That's nice of you.
Yeah, and a whole bunch of other stuff on Saturday, and then got to run in on Sunday, but nothing too cray-cray.
Man, you've got Boston coming up next week, buddy. I want to hear all about it, and I wanted to get some help on what kinds of questions to ask. So I threw this out into the net. We have a Facebook group now. We also have an Instagram.
We do.
We got so many things happening. We have other special announcements coming up soon.
Yeah, I know. It's big.
Oh, it's big. It's big. It's exciting. But first, we have a Facebook group, which is super cool. And I put the question out there. I said, what questions should I ask Eric? Eric, Mr. Poopy Pants Kosek. I also asked what names I should start calling you. That was a top contender.
Yeah, but it didn't win. You just decided to put it up there. That's not fair.
It's completely fair because there are no rules in what names I get to change. And for anybody listening on the podcast, if you're on the YouTube, viewing on YouTube, I can change Eric's name. He has not figured out how to change my name yet, which is great. I'm keeping it that way for as long as possible. And right now, his name is Eric, Mr. Poopy Pants Kosek, and he's going to tell us about Boston. I asked some questions out there, and I really like Don's question. He comes up with the best ones. And he started off, he said, I've run Boston a couple of times, but the first question now is why? Why do you want to? There are prettier courses out there. There's faster courses out there. There's trails out there. There's prettier road courses too. So why Boston?
Well, I would throw that right back to him and say, well, why'd you run it a couple times? No, I mean,
it's Don, and Don does everything.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, for me, the best answer is it's a bucket list for anybody who's a runner. I feel like I've never done a big town marathon, so I'm going for the 26.2 miles of people cheering for you on both sides of the road the whole time, and like just the the atmosphere. I want to see what that's like and kind of feed off of it myself. That would be my why. Yes. I'm not competing. That might be your next question. I guess I'm not competing with myself. I'm going to enjoy it.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. Well, I hope you do. And I know Becky is coming along to cheer you on. Are the girls coming too?
Whole family's going. Yep. I want them to kind of experience how big a race can be. I mean, let's face it, our trail events that we go to are big. Heiner's coming up. That's big. But
Mm-hmm.
man, nothing is thousands and thousands and thousands of people big, you know?
Yeah.
I'm a country boy at this point, so like these city things, I don't know. Maybe I hate it. Who knows? But it's
You
only
might
26.
just might see an alley that looks kind of like a trail and just go off course a little bit and hang
Yeah.
out with people. The crowd looks super fun though. Like you said, it is a bucket list item for a lot of people. Some other questions. Want to know the logistics of like lining up how and where that gets determined for a big race like that. Like you said, it's thousands and thousands of people. They have corrals? Is that right?
Yeah, I got one email so far. I'm not sure if I'm going to get any more. It pretty much has my like virtual bib number and um what time and where the corral is that I'm supposed to get in, I guess. I don't know what time buses leave or something. I should probably start figuring this stuff out.
Yeah, that would be good. Figure out
Yeah,
where to go.
I mean, I think I'm in wave one. So that's probably the first one after the elites go.
Yeah.
And that's about all I know. I think I just want to get to the start, and then when I get to the finish, I just got to find Becky, and then I don't know.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the finish, that was one of the questions was where are you going to celebrate, rehydrate, refuel afterwards? Do you have any other plans while you're going to be there?
I mean, we had talked about trying to. We're going Saturday morning, so we have Saturday afternoon and Sunday to kind of hang out in Boston and do all the things, but we don't really know what they are. So Becky was kind of looking today. No, we don't have anything set in stone on what we're doing. I got to go to the expo, get all the free stuff, I think.
Well, that's going to be the next question in the Facebook group. I'm going to throw it up there and ask what other things we can suggest for you in Boston. I know I did a Ragnar with my friends, Cape Cod, Ragnar Cape Cod. Oh, we had a blast. There were there's a lot of stories that I can't tell you about. I'm sorry, I can't tell you about, and those stories are only for the trails. But there's some super cool stuff to do in Boston while you're there.
Well,
So we'll get some ideas.
I don't know what, like I said, I don't know what we're gonna do. It's pretty much,
We'll figure it out.
yeah,
Us on the Instagram and the Facebook group, we're gonna figure out what are some good ideas for all of you.
yeah.
Also, tell us a little bit about you've probably got a pretty solid idea of your nutrition strategy, your race strategy for trails. Road running is different. So, can you talk through a bit of your nutrition and race strategy for Boston and how how is that different than what you would do for trail?
For trail, I eat real food. I don't think I'm gonna stick with too much real food for Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't practice as much as I should, Grace. I should have all this stuff nailed down. But I mean, I'm more like just watching my watch, watching the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Take some calories at half hour mark, and then every 45 minutes after that. And I mean, I think my biggest goal was to not poo while I'm out there. You know,
If you do, are you going to keep going?
like the whole run down your leg thing. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to stop. The clock doesn't stop, but I don't know. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I lied. I've had that happen in one marathon. Luckily, there's woods there. It cost me like 20 seconds. Anyway, I'm going down another dark hole. My nutrition.
Literally a dark hole.
Yeah. My nutrition strategy is for marathons, when I'm running faster on roads, which I'll be doing, I like the Martin gel, the flavorless black gels. They work for me. I feel like I can feel them working, whether it's in my head, make believe or not. It doesn't really matter. If you feel like they give something gives you energy, I'm going to go with it.
Yeah.
Not really sure what I'm drinking. Haven't made it that far yet. Water and probably watered down Gatorade.
Okay.
Solid. Going pretty minimalistic with this as far as plan goes. Yeah.
Okay. So
I got my expensive shoes ready.
Okay, you've got leopard print shorty shorts.
Yeah.
Idiot runner tank. You've got new expensive shoes. Don't poop your pants. And a gel every 45 minutes. That's all you need. What are you having for breakfast?
Hotel food.
Okay.
It's my favorite.
That goes along perfectly with the poopy pants. So
I mean,
good luck with that. It depends on the
what
hotel.
could go wrong? Nothing. Everything was fine. Totally fine. So I think my race starts at 10.
Okay.
I believe, which is a little later. I think, we had touched on that last week with race planning and things like that. I'm guessing I have to be there like an hour before 10. So I'll eat a regular breakfast at 6 or 7, hopefully. And maybe throw a gel in right before the race or something. I don't know. And I am not big on gels. I'm more of a eat good, nutritious food type of thing, but the gels are just convenient.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they sure are.
Yeah.
Gels are solid strategy, solid for a bit at least.
Yeah, and as far as afterwards go, I mean, I'll probably celebrate a little bit. I got a couple people going that I know. Lon Williams, which is a running friend of mine, a pastor, friend, and Shannon is going. Shannon Ray.
Yeah.
So probably hopefully finish near or with them, and then I got to drive. What is it? 6 hours for me home to get to work the next day. I'm telling you, this work stuff is really messing up things.
Work is terrible. We should all quit our jobs, live in a commune, and run all day.
Sign me up.
See? Done.
So, anything else about Boston you want to discuss while I'm here?
I think we, you'll post a link so that we can follow you along, right?
I think I'm supposed to probably do that. Yeah. I mean, or you could just follow. I don't know how many people.
We can stalk you. I think we can look up your name and stalk you. We'll do that. It'll be fun.
Or just look for the leopard print out on course. I don't know.
Yeah. We'll follow along your number. Best of luck to you. And we want to talk some more about race prep, right?
Yes, continued. You're giving us a lesson here on race prep, and we need to start that off. It's very informative so far and much needed, I think, for a good chunk of the running population out there.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit too late to help you with Boston, but we'll see how it goes. So
I got a week.
Yeah. So we're talking about race prep and some of the things that I do with my athletes. I sit down and we stand up. Sometimes we sit, but we put together a race strategy, and that includes several pieces. So we put together a nutrition strategy, including what are you going to eat before the race and after the race. Because like you said, that race time makes a big difference. Some races start at 5 a.m., some start at 10 a.m., some start at 6 p.m. And what you eat beforehand makes a big difference for timing. And so we put together a nutrition strategy, clothing strategy, a pacing strategy, and a motivational strategy. Those are the big pieces to put together. And I have a couple of tips that I love to pass along to people and share the wealth of knowledge, because that's one of the awesome things about running is that we can learn so much from each other. And so Clothing strategy. I think I test out my clothes at least, 4 weeks, probably about 4 weeks ahead of time. I don't know about you. How about you, Eric? You figure out what you're going to wear?
Yeah, I mean, everything I wear in training is what I pick out of the box to wear at any race anyway. So I feel pretty, I'm not going to buy something I have in the past, but I'm not going to buy something like a day before the race and throw it on.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we test out all of our clothes ahead of time, then put together that nutrition strategy. And then there's pacing. And pacing is one that can get really tough to figure out. And I love working on pacing strategies with people. I have a couple different tools that I use. And we were just talking about this in one of the groups. I think it might have been the Idiot Runners Facebook group, talking about a couple of online tools that exist. So one of them that I use is a running pace calculator that's on Active. It's www.active.com. And I'll put it into the chat afterwards. And I think I can show you what it looks like if you are on. Look at this. There we go. Hold on.
I got
There
nothing.
it is.
There it is.
If you're on the YouTube, you should be able to see it. There it is. The running pace calculator. This is one of the websites that I use. So I can tell this thing if I'm doing 50K, so it's 32 miles, and it has say a 10-hour cutoff, then I can calculate what the longest, what's the minutes per mile, and 18:45 is what I have to average for that race. So I use active.com for this. Also, if I know that my pace is a 16-minute mile, and I say, how long is it going to take me for a 16-minute mile? Then I can calculate that and say, oh, that gets me an 8-hour, 32-minute finish. So active.com can be really helpful. Another one that I use is called a cumulative race calculator. And let's see if I can get that one to go. If you are on the YouTube, then you can see my screen, which is super fancy. I'm figuring this out right now. Bam, look at that. And the cumulative time and pace calculator is great because you can put in here, like, oh, I know my first mile, I'm probably going to go out too fast because all of you do. So maybe that's going to be a 12-minute mile. And then I'm going to slow down a little bit and give myself a 14-minute mile. But you can figure out every single mile that you do. And then you click on calculate and it'll tell you what your average pace is over that span of time. So this one I find really helpful. Let's say that I'm putting together a walk-run strategy for somebody. I had an athlete doing the Yeti 100, which is super flat. And I did not want her to start to run like her first 30 miles and then stop and walk. Like I wanted her to start walking from the get-go. So we put together a plan based on this cumulative race calculator, and that was really helpful. There's another one. Oh, I forget the name of it. We were just talking about it in the Facebook group today. That can look at a GPX file and help you put together a pacing strategy based on the elevation. Now, one of the downfalls of using that tool is that it does not take into consideration the technicality of the terrain. We all know that a race like World's End is much more technical than, say, most of the Heiner course. Most of the Heiner course, I think, is not too technical, except for the creek. Ultra Pacer. Thank you, Alicia. So that's another tool that can be used to put together that pacing strategy. And while for some people that's too much and putting together a pacing strategy can feel really stressful, for other people, especially in the back of the pack, I want to know exactly where I'm going to be at every single aid station so that I know I'm on track to finish within the cutoff. And also to help out my crew. So even if, I'd say even if you're not, trying to hit a certain goal or anything like that, it can be really helpful. especially a race like World's End, for example, where World's End, you have no cell signal whatsoever. If you can put together a pacing strategy for yourself and be able to figure out, okay, I think I'm going to be at this aid station at this time, or at least figure out, all right, here's my fastest that I'm going to be versus here's the slowest that I plan to be. I'm going to be, hey crew, I'm going to be there somewhere between this time and this time. That can be really helpful. And another piece that I might use in the cumulative race calculator, for example, when I was getting ready for Georgia Death Race, I remember I stalked somebody on Strava. I found Kieran Coons, who's amazing, by the way. I found her Strava and what she did mile by mile. Then I put in my own of what I thought I was going to do mile by mile. And I was able to put together this whole spreadsheet and figure out a prediction of where I would be at every single aid station. So stalk people, definitely. That is a big part of my putting together a pacing strategy, finding other people who live in your area, who know the trails well and can give you some tips. And you can even look at their Strava and find out what their times were and start to put together that pacing strategy. So that's what I do for pacing strategy. And Eric, you do none of that, right?
I like to go out hard and hold on till it all blows up like a sweet, glorious bomb. I mean, it's fun sometimes. But to play the devil's advocate, I'm thinking here. So if I have a race plan for 25K race, and it's not, the first 5 miles aren't what I expected them to be. As far as me, I'm not feeling good. Maybe I had an accident in my pants. Who knows? But anyway, my time coming into so and so aid station, hot pants aid station, is 10 minutes behind what my plan says.
Yeah.
I have panic setting in, or negative feelings setting in because of that. When there's still a lot of race left and there's still a lot of time everybody can make up. So I guess the takeaway is everything's bendable, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think everything is flexible, and I think that I think the anxiety is a little higher, especially when you're still getting a feel for running and pacing yourself and figuring out how it all plays out. And I think the more that you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. And then the more you see, I can predict this pretty close to what I'm actually going to end up, pretty close to where I'm going to be. Put together a half marathon pacing strategy for one of my athletes who just did the Love Run in Philadelphia. And we were within, I think, a minute of where she was going to be. And she like, I told her, I was like, you're going to go out too fast. She's like, no, I'm not going to go out. I'm like, yeah, you are. You're going to go out too fast. And sure enough, like, she went out too fast. So like, we put together that cumulative race calculator and it got pretty close. I think the more you do it, the closer you get to it. And I think every single race, you always go into it with the understanding that the entire thing could go wrong within mile one. You know, like every single finish is a gift, and I'm thankful for every single finish. Doesn't matter what the distance is, and I think you got to go into it knowing full well that it could all go wrong at the very beginning.
Yeah, but like you said, bottom line is that having a plan isn't going to hurt anything, and it will help you more than anything. And I am learning the longer I'm in this running game. It might only be in my tiny little head, but there's still a plan in there, more than there was before, than just going, running hard until I can't anymore. Especially with bigger stuff. I mean, I've found that making a plan, I've been more successful at having at least some kind of thrown together plan.
Yeah. Well, I think when you're in the back of the pack too, one of the things that's hard, and you get lonely at the front too, but in the back you get lonely, and you might think like, wow, there's nobody, I haven't seen anybody in over an hour. I'm alone out here. I don't know if they're having the race anymore. I might be in Maryland by now. And then you look at your pacing strategy and you're like, oh, actually, I'm doing great. And you get to the aid station and you're the only person they're waiting on. And you look at your strategy and you're like, oh, wow, I'm here 20 minutes early. And turns out there's, 10, 20 people behind me, and I had no idea. I'm not even close to the last one, So sometimes I think that pacing strategy can benefit you too, where you see, oh my goodness, I need to not use these other cues and just stick to the plan. I think that's one of the things that's incredibly helpful with the plan is all these, especially in the back, well, not especially in the back, I think it can happen anywhere. These negative thoughts creep in where you're like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to make it? Am I going to get cut? Am I going to get swept? Did I bring enough food? Did I bring enough toilet paper? All of the things. And, but if you stick to the plan, and the plan is, here's my pacing strategy, here's my nutrition strategy, I got to stick to it. And I think that's where those mantras can come in. So I try to, when I'm working with my athletes, like, what's your mantra going to be for this race? What are you going to tell yourself when it gets tough? There's even a couple of strategies, like if you write a letter to yourself, and then if you're in 100-miler and then you give it to your crew, and then if you say, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, your crew gives that letter to you. And it's what you wrote to yourself before the race. So there's a lot of cool mental things that you can do to really keep yourself in the game. And I think that's another big piece of that strategy is, what are you going to do when it gets tough? And I think there's I've heard runners talk about this before, very experienced runners, where they say the difference between finishing and not finishing is how you manage through the tough times. So when it gets tough, are you going to be positive and come up with a solution? Or is your head going to go negative and then you decide, you're done for the day? Which certainly I've been in plenty of situations where I go negative too. And I did that, at my last race. And I think I wasn't as prepared as I should have been with that mental strategy of like, okay, what am I going to do to keep myself in this and keep myself in a positive place, because that's such a big piece. So I think, putting together a pacing strategy, it can feel a little intimidating, but like I said, sometimes you surprise yourself and it can be a big benefit to boost you along too. And then putting together a little motivation strategy. Oh, and I will also say this. I make a list of things for my crew to not say to me because it's things that I find annoying.
Yeah.
So, I make a list of stuff. One of them is, remember you paid for this. I'm like, yeah, I pay for a lot of shit that I don't use,
Yeah.
that does not motivate me. Don't tell me you paid for this, Grace. Watch, everybody's going to have signs that say that the next time.
Yeah. Don't ask me if I'm okay. Of course I'm not okay. It's mile 85 and out of 200. Yeah. No, life sucks. Yeah, I get it. I do like the letter to yourself idea, although I would add, I think it should be required that you read that letter to yourself out loud to your crew and the aid state, whoever wants to listen.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. And, I didn't think about this, but like Eastern States this year, they have that little, there's some kind of benefit if you go without crew and without pacers.
Yeah.
And that could be a great strategy if you don't have crew. Like you put that letter to yourself in one of your drop bags, and you got to read it when you get to that spot, mile 75 or whatever that is. You got to pull it out and you got to read it. And that can really, I think, be a great motivator through the rest
Mine
of
would say, quit reading this letter, dummy. You're wasting time.
That's a great letter.
Yeah. And off I go.
And then you keep running. Nice.
All right. So stick to the plan is what you're saying. We need to stick to the plan, Grace.
We do.
Okay. That's good stuff, though. Very good stuff. And I would say everybody should at least play around a little bit with race planning and see what works for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely, takes a little time to figure out what works for you. But I think that's part of it is once you do figure out what works for you, you stick to what works for you. And plenty of races, I've made the mistake of saying, well, this works for everybody else, so maybe I'll try that. And it's not a good idea. Like hey, I know what works for me. This is the thing that I'm going to do. I know it works, and I'm going to go for it. And you just stick to that plan. But putting together that race strategy, I think, is really helpful. It kind of pulls together all that training that you did for all those months.
Yep. Good stuff, Grace. Thank you. Couple of things people typed in. I'd like to know what brand, PJ, of shorts that you lost due to holes where they should not be. And who else? Gabe says I should go to Fenway Park because it's cool. Boy, that's some good feedback, Gabe. Go to Fenway Park. It's cool. I'm driving 6 hours to go run a marathon. I'm going to go walk around this baseball stadium.
Why not?
Come on, you can do better than that, Gabe. Anyway, what do we want to talk about? Time management and running? Do we want to dabble in that a little bit?
Let's dabble. Let's de-dabble over there. We want to talk about time management because you have we have two very different situations. So I think this is a cool topic for us because you have a wife who also runs, who is badass, amazing. And then you have children. You have two daughters. And you work full time because you have not sold your soul to the devil yet or to advertisers yet.
It's for sale, though.
It's definitely up for sale. So how do you fit it all in, buddy?
Yeah, I'm not anywhere near the worst on this as far as the spectrum goes of people with busy lives. It was more just I think everybody struggles with different things that come into their life or in their life that make running hard to do sometimes. We all want to run when we want to run and not on somebody else's schedule for whatever reason it is. And it's interesting, to me at least, to see how some people make training a priority. Some want to, but don't. I think that I'm a strong believer that there's always time if you make it. Doesn't matter, everybody's busy during the day. Everybody has stressful lives, all this, blah, 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 blah. We need our sleep, but you can always find time. I really do think that if you want it bad enough. And I guess I would love for more people to chime in and I guess kind of get a discussion going on what they do for a living, maybe, and how they juggle everything. For me, I have I work from 6 in the morning till 2. So I have all afternoon I could run. I'm not an afternoon runner. I don't care for it. So I struggle with that. And I like to get my runs done in the morning. I feel accomplished a lot of the time, most of the time, and it makes me feel good about my mental health. And that's when I like to train. Having said that, I have found lately that I think I've been lacking on sleep because of getting up early. Yeah. And so I've kind of had to adjust my schedule. And just recently, I'm in a union where I work, and I won't get in a long story over this, but it's a union. So we have a break, half-hour break in the morning and a half-hour lunch at noon. Mm-hmm. Well, I was pretty much just hanging out, taking my break and then taking my lunch for the past 2 or 3 years. And just last week, I started running, taking my clothes and getting changed real quick and going out for that half-hour break, 2 half-hour breaks of over an hour or equal an hour. And I'm getting 8 miles in while I'm at work. Mm-hmm. That's like huge. So if I can add that on to whatever I do at home, we're talking serious base mileage increase, Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm training for a 200 miler this fall, which is my A race for the year. I'd like to do very well at it. So that's what's on my mind, and that's why I'm going to start doing what I'm talking about. I also have the ability. I work 8 miles from my house, so I'm going to start running to and from work again this summer, in the heat of the summer, for heat training and getting those base miles up. So yeah, that's me. I like to feel prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I like my athletes to feel prepared. I'm pretty sure you're going to feel the same way.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
But life gets in the way, and man, it is hard sometimes, and we never want running to feel like a job.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Alicia says pharmacy operational manager, up at 3:30 for workouts or runs, home and run at 2. Is that okay? At 10, at 8. That's 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's 8 o'clock.
So what about you? I mean, you like you said, and then there's, for me, the one thing I'll add is, like, I always feel the guilt.
Mm.
And
Yep.
I think a lot of people do. I always feel guilty going for a long run on the weekend, even though I try to get up before my girls get up, things like that. Do we all just run when we find our free time and that's it? Make the best of what we have, or
Yeah.
do people struggle with finding time to train properly?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I love this topic. And first I want to say one of the things that pops out to me when you're talking about your day is like sneaking in a quick 8 miles in an hour. And that's just crazy for me. I could never do that much mileage in 1 hour. Wild. I did 5 miles in an hour, like an hour and 5 hour and 10 minutes this morning, and that was pushing it. And so, but that brings up a good point that I have found with some of my athletes, we train by mileage, and some of them we train by time. And there are some big benefits to training by time instead of mileage. And I think that's something that can help with a busy lifestyle. You know, sometimes I have one athlete that no matter how much I told her, like, this is an easy run, it's an easy run, it's an easy run. Like, she's got a lot going on in her life and she would try to hurry up and get it done. I said, look, we're going to stop doing mileage. We're going by time. How much time do you have? She's like, well, I have an hour. I said, okay, it's going to be an hour. Stop looking at what the pace is and just run for an hour. And that's it. And so I think one of the things that can be helpful with training, with time management, is to think about it in terms of how much time do I have, not, you know, can I get a leg workout in for a strength day? Like, think about how much time do I have? 10 minutes. Well, yeah, I do have 10 minutes. Okay, so what can I do in 10 minutes? I have my lunch half hour. Can I take 20 minutes of that and sneak in a nice little walk around the block? And so I think that's one of the things that's helpful. And another big piece to consider is how physical is your job. And my job is right here. This is my office. And I primarily work from home. And because of that, because it's not very physical, and I have had physical jobs in the past, because I used to work, you know, similar to a couple of people in the group here. I used to do 12-hour days, and I was on my floor, on my feet almost that entire time. I was a production supervisor, so I was walking around a production floor. And with those 12-hour days, I didn't really need to do a whole lot else on those days. I did most of my training on my days off. But now that I can go an entire day and my step count is like 500 steps because I just don't go anywhere. So I have to be really intentional about that. And I have to add a walk into my day to make up for that.
Right.
So I think when people are looking at how do you fit it all in, there's a couple of other pieces to consider is, you know, how physical is your job? And like you said, sleep is critical. I mean, if you're not getting that full amount of sleep that you need, 7 to 9 hours, then it could be a detriment to training as well.
Yeah, and just to dive in real quick to my past couple months, like, I felt like garbage after the new year, and I wasn't really sure why. I was always tired, and I could instantly close my eyes at work and I was falling asleep. Something wasn't right. But anyway, I just recently got a whole lot of blood tests done, thinking that hopefully, as weird as it sounds, hopefully they would find something that's a little low or this and that.
Yeah.
And everything, Lyme, testosterone, everything, clean bill of health, everything is great, which is phenomenal. I'm happy for it. But that sent me to, okay, I guess I'm just short on sleep. That's my next step.
Yeah.
And that's where I changed my whole running schedule. And the odd thing is I've been on this early morning run schedule since I was a runner. Began running in 2014 or 15, I think Becky said. But it worked for me for a long time. And maybe it's age catching up to me. I don't know. But I'm on like week 3 or 4 now of getting an extra hour of sleep every night and running more during my normal person waking hours, I guess I would say. And boy, I not knock on wood, but this week, within the past 7 days, and this is coming into Boston too, like I feel really good, really good. And I'm not gonna do anything crazy at Boston. I'm gonna enjoy myself, and I'm not going for a PR or anything like that. But man, I think maybe I'm catching up on that sleep finally. I knew it would take a while.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all it was, but I swear I feel better, I think. So I'll keep you posted.
You've had some speedy runs lately. It's pretty cool to see.
Well, and they're more consistently where I used to be too. You know what I mean? Everybody has their paces. You're laughing that I can get 8 miles in an hour, but that's my normal.
Yeah.
That's not overdoing it. That's not speed work. That's about what I can get. And I was slowly losing that, and I could feel that. You know what I mean? And to feel that, okay, I can maintain this easiness again and get this amount of miles in this amount of time. It's like, well, maybe that's all it was. And so my fingers are crossed. And Chad Brown, he's asking if miles or time and defeat are more important. And I want to hear your opinion, but you pretty much said it already. But I think it's both of them are equally important. And in training, make sure you utilize both of them. Going out on a weekend for 3 or 4 hours, that doesn't mean you hammer out as much as you possibly can in that 3 to 4 hours. Sometimes it's that real low key, enjoyable group run for 3 or 4 hours because it's still time on your feet.
Yep. Yeah, I think spot on. It totally depends on the person, what's their base that they're coming in with already, and what's their goal race, and what are their goals during that race. So incredibly variable by that person. And like I said, if I've got an athlete who I know they're not going easy enough on their easy runs, and I switch it over to time instead, and now they go easier, well, I'm going to do time because now we hit our goal. Our goal was to make those easy runs easy. And if you don't go easy on your easy runs, it means you can't go hard on your hard runs. So, and that's so critical. So, I really love hearing this kind of stuff from you, Eric, because it really shows that I think whether you're in the front or the back of the pack, no matter where you are in between, it really doesn't always benefit to say, oh, I'm going to stick to my plan no matter what, because I'm hardcore, never miss a Monday. And that's really not necessarily the case. If you're really serious about it and you want to have a great race, great training plan, great training cycle, sometimes it's important to be just as serious about nutrition. What are you eating when you're not running? Getting in enough protein, and that goes for our plant-based athletes too, right? Getting in plenty of protein, getting in plenty of sleep, and doing all those other things too. It's like, it's kind of like going out and buying some Louboutin shoes, and they're amazing and they're pretty, but then you not taking care of them, So you can have a great training plan, but if you're not caring for your body in the meantime, that can really show up on race day or show up in people getting burnt out. So I appreciate you mentioning getting extra sleep. And I think it's one of those things that I know I used to have this mentality. I fight it off, but I'm like, oh, I'm in the back of the pack. That stuff doesn't matter as much for me, right? That's just for the fast people to be serious about their sleep. But it's really for everybody, right? We all should be serious about getting enough sleep. when we can. Life always gets in the way. But when we're able to get that extra sleep, sometimes it might be, I think I'm not going to go to that group run this morning because I couldn't sleep last night for whatever reason, and I don't have this situation, but plenty of people have the situation. You get a sick dog, sick kid, sick parent the night before. Next thing you know, you only have 3 hours of sleep. And it's like, maybe I will cancel on that group run, and that's okay. And hopefully my friends are cool and they're not going to hold it up against me. And so I appreciate you mentioning the sleep thing because it's important for all of us.
Yeah. And I think on this subject, more than anything, and this comes back to why you and I decided to do this show, but it's very important, especially to me, to show clarity in who I am and who we are, I guess. Like, I might be faster towards the front of the pack and this and that, but it doesn't make me, I still struggle just like everybody else does with different things in training, in life, mental health, just not feeling great for some reason, and so like things aren't always perfect up at the front of the mullet, and and everybody needs to realize that. And I'm not saying I'm a celebrity or anything like that either, but I'm just like everybody else. And that's what makes this show fun, is that we can all talk about the same stuff and understand it the same way.
Yeah. And I think that's been one of the cool things about getting to know so many people at the front of the pack. Cause, like I said, I'm comfortable with the back of the pack. I know that I'm never going to be in the front, and I'm really okay with that. But I learn a lot. I learn a lot from talking to people at the front, and realize that those same strategies can make you a little more comfortable. Can make me a little more comfortable. It only takes a couple times of chafing before you learn that lube is for everybody. It doesn't matter where you are. And the only difference is in the back of the pack, we carry a little extra because we're going to be out there longer. Do you chafe?
I do. I've learned, like, my nipples, I get hard nipples and then it's like game over. So I always put the covers on, cover the nipples, the nippies. They are amazing. I still can't believe how long they stay on sometimes. But and then I get some crotch issues every once in a while, depending on humidity and things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing that bad. I mean, Becky's gotten it really bad a couple times here in different spots. It's never brought me to tears or anything like that. But yeah, I chafe.
This is my favorite name so far. Anybody listening on the podcast, just change his name to Eric Crouch Issues Kosek. You're welcome.
I'll show them. Hopefully, I have some crotch issues after Boston. Maybe I can show them to you.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. That is exciting. I love that you brought up Becky. Not that this is exciting for Becky, but she does have some chafing issues every once in a while, and I have to do this PSA every spring when the shorts come out. The shorts come out, and the conversations always come up about chafing, and it's highly individualized. And I'm telling you what, it's been a while since I've measured my thighs, but last I knew, I'm pretty sure they're wider around than your wife's waist. I think my thighs they're around 27 inches, something like that. And I don't really chafe. So I do a Gold Bond stick. Anything that's over like 2 hours, something like that. If it's less than 2 hours and not too hot, you can usually get away without any.
Is that a whole Gold Bond stick?
No, it's not. So I don't sweat heavily. It's this bizarre thing where I don't sweat a lot. And my sweat is not very salty. I do have to be careful, and I can't use too much electrolyte mix because I don't need nearly as much electrolyte, and I can easily overdo it, and that's also not good for you. So it does not matter what shape you are. Some people are just heavier sweaters, and they are saltier sweaters. So I don't want to hear any of those comments from the men or the women or anybody else in the group about, oh my God, my thighs are so fat. And so I chafe. Shut it. Shut your mouth. My
Yep.
thighs are 26, 27 inches, and I do chafe. It's very rare when I chafe. Um, I've had some bunghole chafing before, so
I've
squirrel's
been
nut
there
butter.
too. Yeah.
Squirrel's nut butter is good for that, but that's usually like the 100K distance, and I really don't get blisters very much either. It's pretty rare. So this is my PSA to all of you. I will be coming after you if you start talking about I'm so fat, my thighs are so fat. No, shut it, stop it, because your thighs are whatever size your thighs are, and they take you from one place to another, and that is a beautiful thing. Not everybody has that.
I feel like you're talking right into my soul.
I'm gonna take you out.
Now, that's a good point, and it's a good transition into what I'm hoping what we talk about next episode, which is FKTs, at least one
Ooh.
subject, and I'm really looking forward to this subject of FKTs. But on the subject of FKTs, when I did Mid-State Trail several years ago during COVID, when my big race was canceled and I decided to do that 328 miles, I had issues with the butthole.
Uh-huh.
And
You gotta lube it.
huh?
You gotta lube it.
Yeah, I get all that, but the butt paste that I forget it's a name, something butt paste, red tube. That
Yeah.
that basically puts a nice layer of protection over anything that's bothering you. And I had to fight it day after day. Obviously, I wasn't giving it anything enough time to heal, Grace. I can
Yeah.
do all you want, but once the damage is done, let's face it, it's
Oh
damage.
yeah.
It's painful. But
Yeah.
the butt paste, and it should have a better name, that got me through what I needed to get through. But we can talk about that more, hopefully at a show coming up, if not next episode.
Yep. And I love the comments coming in about different recommendations. Again, you find what works for you. Squirrel's nut butter is a great one. I've heard salty britches is really good. I haven't tried it yet, but I have heard the same thing, and I can't wait to try it. I just got some not too long ago. There's a lot of different products out there, all worth giving a shot until you figure out a way to ward off all of that chafing. And
And they helped me out. Monica said it's the Boudreaux, I guess, is what I had. Bordeaux, I don't know, whatever, some French guy, but the stuff is thicker than thick, and it's interesting, but it's such a relief.
It is a relief.
So anyway,
bonus topic. That was our bonus topic. It was chafing. I saw an opportunity. I went for it.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we're about out of time. We're running a little long.
We are. Let's shut it down. We'll talk again next week because you've got Boston coming up. I have no plans. I don't know what I'm doing this weekend.
Apparently, you're going to track me or something in Boston.
Well, Monday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's Monday.
I didn't plan on following you before then.
Yeah. That'd be weird.
That would be weird. And then we have, I think next week we will announce our big surprise, right?
Hopefully, if there's a big surprise, we're going to announce it next week.
We gotta finalize the big surprise, and then we'll tell everybody at next week's show. So definitely tune in for that.
Yeah, and like I said, I would like to dig into FKTs, mainly what you have done and your thoughts on it, and maybe some of what I've done and my thoughts on them. I enjoy them. I think they're harder than racing, and I think everybody should try them. Even if you don't think you can get the fastest known time, you can still get your fastest known time. So it doesn't have to be anything special, but it's an interesting concept, and I like talking about it. So I don't know what else we're going to get into. If you have ideas, send them our way. Other than that, I'm not going to ask you what you're doing this weekend because you just said nothing. So
I don't know. Well, here's what I might be doing. And Amy, I'm coming your way because Amy, I just bought a road bike and I am super excited about doing some cross training. I just got one used from a friend over in Mount Joy. And I'm excited to go ride with Amy because she's like my favorite friend to go riding with. And she just asked, when will the show be, since Eric will be traveling back from Boston? We are still hoping to do 7:30 next Monday. I'm just going to make him pull off on the side of the road and do the show anyway.
Yeah, it might be via my phone or something, but we'll figure it out. We'll let you know on the Facebook group page. Thank you all for joining in. We appreciate you. Please keep telling your friends, and we'll keep talking about fun, interesting, disgusting stuff.
Like buttholes.
Yeah.
Looped buttholes.
Have a great week, Grace.
You too. Bye.